Hey everybody, this season I decided to do a little plant shopping online. And online plant shopping, it can be expensive, you're never sure what you're going to get, and anything can happen during shipping. So there's a lot of risk when you shop online for plants, but sometimes that's the only way you're able to get some of the varieties that you want. So I decided this year I was going to try a couple of them out and just show you what my experience is. I figured I'd give it a go and spend my money on it to let you decide if it's going to be right for you. In the end, I spent over $500 on 48 plants. So that's like 11 something per plant. So that's a lot more than I would pay if I bought them here at my parents' nursery or at a lot of the nurseries locally. So the price point a little bit higher, but what I want to do is I'll start with my biggest order first. So we'll move these out of the way and we'll take a closer look. I'm going to show you exactly what I got. Then afterwards, we'll kind of assess kind of what the different companies, how they did, and what the prices were. Okay, the first company that I purchased from was Garden Crossings, and they're out of Zeeland, Michigan. And you may recognize Heidi from Garden Crossing because she has a YouTube channel. So I've been following her for a while. So I kind of know a little bit of the behind the scenes of what goes on at their company. So that's been a lot of fun to do that. And then this is my first time ordering from them. So that's kind of exciting. But I have to admit, like, I'm a little nervous about opening any of these packages because I do know that there's like real people packing these orders and real people growing these plants. And I just worry, like, if there's something wrong, I don't want to be like, hey, this could get really awkward if there's something wrong with these orders. But we're going to see how this goes. So let's open these up. Okay. So look at this. So all of these are kind of individual cells that are put in here, and then all the plants are wrapped in paper. So let's take a look at what we have. Now, these are all varieties that we're not carrying this year. So I picked things that you know, I wouldn't be able to get here. So I kind of love that. So it's self-adhesive here, or there's some glue on there or something. Oh, they're really tight there. Okay. So let's see, what did I get? I don't even remember everything. Oh, I know what this one is. Okay, so these are shipped in the Eco Grande pots that they have. So these are a biodegradable, compostable pot. And this is the Super Bells Double Smitten Pink. And I had talked about this one before, and I had seen it in some of the trial gardens, and it wasn't looking really great in 2 of the trial gardens. So I thought, you know what, I need to give it a fair shake. I'm going to grow it myself and decide. So that's one there. Oh, I just had to get, this is a fuchsia. It's called La Campanella. And so it has these beautiful kind of lavender type purple flowers. The plant's really healthy. And I should know, I'll look at some of these at this next one, but let's pull some more open here. Okay, so this is the Supertunia Honey. This is another one we didn't carry this year, so I wanted to just have one, or I think I got 2, just to make sure. Now, I'm going to just pop these out. Well, actually, I don't have to pop them out, because I want to make sure that these are well-rooted, because any place that's shipping, they really do need to make sure that their plants are well-rooted, because if not, in shipping, these are going to just fall out of the container. There's going to be these little plugs floating all over the place. We've had it happen just recently with some of our orders from wholesalers, and it would be really a shame if it happened to a place that was selling to the average customer, because that means the plants aren't very mature when they get to you, and that just means more work for you and more risks. So let's see what else is in here. Okay, this is the Plum Dandy. This is Alternanthera. Yep. So I love the color on this. So I did get 2 of most of these. So I'll kind of speed through some of this. Oh, this is one that I had to get. It's one that we haven't grown before. Oh, there's lots of roots in this one. This one's definitely doing well. This is the Endless Illumination Brawalia. I don't know how to pronounce it right, but this is a plant that a lot of people have recommended, especially in low light conditions, because it can handle part shade to shade. It gets these pretty kind of blue flowers on it, and I just want to see what it's like to grow. And I got to tell you, these plants are really healthy. Like, these are doing great. Like, I'm happy so far with what I'm seeing. So this one is a Kufia, and it's called Totally Tempted Vivid Violet. So we've had the Sweet Talk series of Kufia, which is a similar kind of type of Kufia. And so I wanted to see how this compared to the other varieties, the ones that we're carrying. So I want to have those for side-by-side comparison. Okay, so this one, there's a little bit of disturbance in the soil, but it is well rooted. There's roots coming out the bottom, so that's not a problem. But this is an evolvulus, so this is the Blew My Mind Extra Large. And we carried the Blew My Mind series in the past. We don't carry it anymore, partly because it's a really late finisher, late starter. It waits until it gets really warm. This is one that loves the heat, but it's always been so late for us kind of getting up to size that it's too late by the time like people are already done kind of shopping before it starts putting on a show. So it's something that we always had left at the end. Now the extra large series is better if you're in a northern climate because it does grow bigger faster. So I wanted to get the extra large because I knew that that extra vigor was going to give me a little advantage up here in the north. I just had to get the Santa Cruz begonia. This is one, I think we've carried it in the past, but haven't had it for years. And that's another one that I wanted to give a go. And here's another Kufia, similar to that vivid violet. This is totally tempted richly red. Okay, this is a ladybird sunglow called a Calilophus. Other times it's called a Texas primrose. And this is a native, North American native. And it is another one that likes it dry and it likes it hot. And my sister had a big charge out of this one because she kind of put it in containers and then forgot about it. And it did fine. She said it never needed water, it never needed attention. I mean, she did give it water, so I'm not gonna say that, but she was like, it just, the more she abused it, the more it kind of bloomed. So this one and the Evolvulus, we have a spot out here in front that I was thinking of putting them that we don't have easy access to water to. We have to kind of water them by hand. So I thought these two plants, plus that blue and that purple, or that blue and that yellow together, that's gonna be really beautiful. So this one is a Angelonia called Guardian Angel Berry Sparkler, and it's being sold in a Proven Selections as a Proven Selection. So you might not realize this, but Proven Winners has its regular line. So you'll notice the tags are, have the Proven Winners, really prominent. You can really notice it. But similar looking tags, the Proven Selections are going to be varieties that are not exclusive to Proven Winners, or they're kind of easily available from other places. Not easily available, I shouldn't say that, but they do sell them under the Proven Selections name. So I did like this one in the trial gardens. We're carrying the Guardian Angel Blue, which I thought was a beautiful Angelonia. This one isn't quite as vigorous or quite as big as the blue, but it's this really cool bicolor. It has this really cool pink and purple look or coloring on it, really high contrast. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I wanted to get some of those to try out and grow for myself. Okay, I'm gonna say it, like the quality of these plants is really high. So it's gonna be hard to beat these. So I'll be curious to see how the other companies do, because it'll be very interesting to compare. So let me get this cleaned up and then I'll show you the next one. So as I look these over, they look great. I mean, look at how full this Alternanthera is, as well as the Calibrachoa. I noticed some of the plants have been pinched already. So like this fuchsia has been pinched. That's why it's so nice and full. I'm seeing that, like the Brunwillia or whatever that stuff is, that got a trim. So did the begonias, as well as the totally tempted Kufia. And those Kufias do benefit from some pinching because they can get a little crazy if they don't. The Angelonia also, looks like, yep, they both got pinched as well. So we know we're going to get good branching off these because they took the time to actually grow them properly. So very happy so far. Now this next order comes from Romance Gardens, and this is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I didn't realize that they sold online until a viewer had mentioned it in one of the comments. It was a viewer named Sandy had said that she has been ordering from them for years and she's been really happy with them. So I thought, hey, I might as well give them a try. I'd rather work from like a referral rather than just go out there cold. So let's see how they did. Okay, so these are packaged a little bit differently. Let's see how this is. So they have a little information. Thank you. They're saying carefully remove it. Sorry, Romance, I'm not going to actually read this. Oh, but look, they are promoting some of the new plants that they're carrying. Okay, I can't help it. It's pretty colors. I'm going to look at it. But let's take a look at how they have them packaged. So we have these posts in each plant, and then they're taped. So let me cut the tape here. Or maybe my blade's not real sharp. Okay, wow, they've got these really put in here. Holy smokes, this is a system. Okay, so each one, holy smokes, look at how these are wrapped. Like they make sure that these are not going to move. So each one of these is rubber banded. Oh my goodness, they took their time with this. Okay, I mean, they took their time with the other ones that I had too, but okay, so they have these two pieces. This is to hold it in place, and then bamboo stake to keep it upright. And the plant that I have here, now this is Aromagica Purple. This is a heliotrope, right? Yep, heliotrope. Has a really beautiful fragrance as well. So I wanted to try one of those. Now these I only got one-offs. Now I did buy, and most of these are proven winners because proven winners seem to be easier for me to get online. I don't have a lot of sources for non-proven winner plants, is how it seems anyway. So this one here is a lantana. Look at the blooms on this. Wow. Now it is a pretty small plant. Let me just check the roots on this. So I'm going to pop out the stake. So yeah, the roots are going around to the edge. Not quite as mature though as what I was seeing from the other order. So these plants are just a little bit younger, but they look really good. I'm definitely not complaining. Now this one looks like it's a little bit more. I gotta put my tag in there. Okay, so I wanted to try some of the other lantana from Proven Winners just because we haven't grown a lot of them. This year we have the Tangelo, or no, Marmalade, and Golden Gate, and they seem to be doing pretty well. But this one here is Luscious Pinkberry Blend. And this one is a Luscious Royale Cosmo. So yeah, so, and granted, I'm comparing apples to oranges really because, well, I'm comparing lantana to petunias and other things. So the lantana might just not be as far along. That's the other thing we have to consider. Lantana is a little bit later starter than some of the other plants. Okay, so now we have a couple of non-proven winner plants that I also purchased. So this one here, this is, it's Diacia called Darla Deep Salmon. And Diacia is one of those plants that I know some of the other versions, they like would bloom early in the season and then they wouldn't really bloom too much more after that. So I wanted to give some of these a try because in the trial gardens, they're blooming really great. So I'm guessing maybe there's been some improvements on those. Okay, and here's another non-proven winners one. And you can see they put them in their branded pot. This is a pretty bright coral color they have printed on here. Okay, so this is a Diplodenia, Mandia Coral Pink, and I just wanted to give another one of these a try as well. And now, oh, and I did get a Superbell Smitten Pink, so I ordered these from two different companies, not for any particular reason, but now we can actually compare the two. So one thing I will say, you'll notice there is like a little bit of legginess going on with this one versus this one. This one here, I'm just going to trim the edges right around the edge of the pot. They're both going to look probably the same towards the end of the season, but I do like when they're nice and dense, like this one came in from Garden Crossing, but I'm still happy with this one, but I do want to give this a trim. That's maybe just me. Some other people say they just can't bear to trim things. And then I did get a Totally Tempted Vivid Violet from them as well, so we can compare side by side. So let's grab the Vivid Violet. Okay, so you can see the difference when it's trimmed versus not trimmed. And this one was pinched already. So, you know, this one was pinched. That's why it's, you know, pretty well branched. I will continue to pinch this again just because I know this plant benefits from that extra pinching as well. So this one has roots growing out the bottom. This one actually also has roots growing out the bottom. So these Kufias do grow pretty fast, so they will fill out a pot really quite quickly. So ultimately, I'm pretty happy. Now, I will say the plants are a little more robust, I think, from Garden Crossing, but hey, we'll do a full assessment later. But I'm not unhappy with this. And the quality of shipping in both of these, I'm very pleased. I mean, I didn't have any damage. The plants were really in good shape. So far, so good. Before I open this next box, I should tell you that there was one item missing from my Romance Gardens order, but that's a good thing because I had gotten an email when they said, hey, we're shipping your order, but we're holding back one item. It was a begonia, and their email basically said, look, we think it might be a little too cold to ship this to you right now, so we're gonna hold it for 1 to 2 weeks and we'll ship it to you later, but we're gonna still send you the rest of the order. That blew my mind because I would have expected in that situation, they would have said something more like, hey, you've got a begonia in your order. Do you want us to ship it now or do you want us to wait and ship everything in 2 weeks? The fact that they split the order like this and they're eating the shipping costs on this. So that really tells me that they're very concerned about the plant and the quality that's coming in. So I definitely appreciate that. And I have to say, both Romance, Garden Crossings, and this next company that I ordered from, they all sent me emails after I had requested first week in April shipping date. They all said, look, that's before your last frost. We're kind of concerned about that. We can't offer you a warranty if your plants don't make it. And remember, you probably can't plant them outside right away. Well, for me, that didn't matter so much, but I really did appreciate that they took the time to send me, and they were like personal emails, like they were from a person, and they definitely were addressing my request very specifically. So I genuinely appreciate them doing that and taking that into consideration, because I think there are a lot of people who, they get excited and they order things right away and they might put them outside. And up here, man, our last frost date is until like mid-May or late May. So we still have a long time to go before that. So this next one came from Proven Winners Direct. So if you go to Proven Winners website, usually they're going to direct you to their website. And I have ordered from them before. And I'll be honest with you, I had done a video of the unboxing and I was a little disappointed. A lot of the plants were in rough shape when they got here. I think it had taken a little longer for them to get here than expected. They were pretty beat up when they arrived as well. And they were a little floppy, I'm going to be honest with you. But the good news is that they all recovered. They all looked great very quickly. So it only took about probably 10 days and they all look fantastic. So I kind of know what to expect, except once the box arrived, there was a little surprise. And the address from this, it says from Team Proven Winners. And the address is the same as Garden Crossings. So I have a feeling that Proven Winners has partnered with Garden Crossings to fulfill these orders, which I think is great, because based on the quality that I saw from this is better quality than what I saw when it was sent. I believe it was sent from Carlton, Michigan the last time I got it. So it came right from the Proven Winners growers people. So I'm assuming now that this is likely coming from Garden Crossings, that the quality is going to be very, very similar to this one here. So we'll see. Packaging looks very, very similar. So everything's kind of individually wrapped. Let's see what I got. So this one got a little shook up. So let's just see. So you can see the soil got a little disturbed. Oh, come on. Okay, so that kind of came out. So this is an Intensia. It's a type of phlox, and it's called Red Hot. And this one here, I can see some roots here, maybe not quite as developed as what we see in some of the other plants, but that might be just the nature of the Intensia. I did not expect to have this many blooms coming on these plants, so that's been really nice. So this one here is a euphorbia. It's called, let's give it a little fluff, because it definitely, look at that. That's much better. So this is a euphorbia called Diamond Snow. So there's like 3 different kinds of Proven Winners euphorbia. So Diamond Frost is kind of the standard one, beautiful glistening looking sparkle of flowers. And then there's Diamond Mountain, which is very large. And then this one has tighter flowers. So similar in size to Diamond Frost, but the flower are a little tighter. This one, a little bit floppy. I might actually, well, I guess I'll keep an eye on it, because I could, with euphorbia, I could give it a little trim back and see if that kind of encourages growth here. I'm not sure. It'll probably be fine, but okay, I'm already looking at this. There are definitely roots coming out of the bottom of this, so let's take a look. This is a lobularia, and this one is called White Knight, and I think White Knight's the one that's known for being super vigorous, kind of takes over pots, kind of has a bit of a bully reputation, but it is beautiful. It's a type of an alyssum, and it does, I can't really get the fragrance off of these couple blooms here, but it does tend to have a really nice fragrance as well, but definitely has some roots on that. And let's see what else. Oh, so I ended up with 2 of the Diamond Snow. So, oops, sorry, look at this. You can tell that I work with plants all day and I just throw them around, and I guess I'm confident that they're going to be able to hold up, because most of these plants are pretty durable, so I don't panic too much. But yeah, this one has that same little wobble, so it needs a little strengthening. But again, I can see some roots in there, so I'm not too worried about this not being well rooted. And actually, I think because it's so top heavy, if it wasn't well rooted, it would have fallen out. So this is in really good shape. So hey, I got really lucky with these 2 orders. Now I do have another order coming tomorrow, so we're gonna hang out. I'll just kind of admire these for the next 24 hours, and hopefully I can come back to you with my next order, and hopefully it's as good as these. So it's now day 2 and my final package is here. I'm super excited to open it. This one arrived UPS, the other 2 came FedEx, and sorry UPS, I don't know where this package was, but it is very dusty. So I know it did not leave the farm quite like this. So the place that I got these from is a company called Set Apart Farms, and they're out of Fountain Inn, South Carolina. And I really only found them because they must be advertising very heavily in Facebook ads this season. They're a relatively new company. They've only been around a couple of years, and I saw them on Facebook. I watched some of their YouTube videos, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give these folks a try. They seem like decent folks, and they seem to really love the plants as well. So I want to give it a try. They have some cute little tape on here, so gotta love that. So here goes. Happy plant day, everybody. And then, okay, what do we have? Okay, yet another form of shipping. So this one here, everything is wrapped in corrugated cardboard, and it also has a paper wrapping as well. So let's take a closer look. So let's see this one. Okay, so they're going through some tape here. So each one is tape. Oh, and the tape goes right onto the pot as well. So that's a little bit different. And then they're also using the sleeves. Look at, oh my gosh, somebody took the time to write my name on every single tag. Holy smokes, you guys, that's some personal service, I'll say. So this first plant that I'm getting is a Bidens or Bidens, depends on how you like to pronounce it. And it is Campfire Marshmallow. So this was a color that was pretty new last year. So I do see some roots down here. Now, Bidens are a plant that tend to grow pretty vigorously, so doesn't take long. Yeah, we've got good root action there. This soil's a little bit barkier than some of the others. Okay, so this is another Plum Dandy. So I got this from another company too. Now this did get upended a little bit, it looks like, in shipping. So it looks like it popped out and then it fell back in. So that's okay, but you can see it's a little bit, it looks like maybe it was grown a little tighter, maybe, possibly, I'm not sure. This one definitely is a little bit fuller than this one here. So you can see this is kind of more of a one stem with new stems coming. So a little bit difference between the two. I'm still happy with this. You know, like, this is not a terrible plant, but definitely I'd be rather getting that one, but that's okay. So far, so good. Okay. Whoa. So this is a Supertunia Black Cherry as well. And so this is looking really good. Like, this is looking fine. It hasn't gotten a trim yet, as far as I can tell. So it didn't, you know, I will give it a little bit of a snip, but it is branching really well naturally. Supertunias tend to do that pretty well. And yeah, there's roots in there. So that's nothing I'm too worried about. Okay, so this is the unplugged white salvia from Proven Winners. So I'm noticing there are some dead leaves on this, which this isn't that big a deal. I mean, it's just something that needs to be picked off. But this suggests to me that these are being maybe grown really close together, and maybe they're not getting quite enough air circulation. It's still, I mean, it still looks really good. Like, the plant is really healthy still. It just looks like maybe in the last week or two, there's a good chance that maybe they got a little higher temperatures, maybe a little more humidity. So it's definitely affecting this plant. But yeah, so it needs a little tidying up. But it's healthy, it's good. I mean, and there's like 3 good stems, and so seeing that at this point is really a nice thing to see, because I do want, like, this kind of salvia, I want it to be kind of a nice column growing as well. Okay, I've got a grass in here. Let's see how that's going. Now, grasses in general, usually they're pretty vigorous, so usually they're not hard ones for people to get out to us. Oh boy. Yeah, this is definitely growing very well. This is the Vertigo grass from Proven Winners, and yeah, this thing is going to get big fast. In fact, let's see, are we seeing? Oh, it's actually right at a. This isn't. I mean, even though we're seeing like this root down at the bottom, this is nothing. Like, this grass in a couple weeks is going to be really, really wound around. I'm not worried about that at all. This is one of those times when when I go to plant it, I might pull that apart a little bit. Other times I don't bother, but in this case with grasses, a lot of times I do, because the grasses tend to get those roots that just start swirling, and that's just, you know, we'd rather not have that. Okay, so I did get some Blew My Mind extra large evolvulus from them as well. So let's take a look at the ones I got from before. So I mean, there is a difference when you look at it. Like, this one's getting a little leggy, so it could use a little trim up, but I don't think this is such a bad thing. It does look like this one is growing a little bit more controlled, but there's definitely a difference in the growth. But this could also be just just the conditions that they were grown under too. Remember, this one's being grown in South Carolina, that one's being grown in Michigan, so the conditions vary a lot too. So now I have another diamond snow. Now this diamond snow, one thing I am noticing with some of these plants is that a lot of them have, like, they weren't planted necessarily in the center, or if they were, they definitely got moved. Now I can correct that when I plant it out, but part of it might also be this barky soil. It's not holding the plant in place when they're putting the plugs in. So that, I mean, this is a little clumsy right here. So that's one plant, that's, it's doing okay. Okay, so something happened here. And again, this barky soil, yeah, so this one, I'm wondering, well, okay, so let's just take a look here. So it is rooting in, but it's not as rooted as the other ones. So that's that one's a little questionable there. Okay, there's no plant. Okay, that's a serious problem, and that's something someone should have caught. I'm trying to see maybe if it fell somewhere in the box. Okay, that's pretty serious. Okay, so I did get a coleus, and coleus are hard to ship because they are a little fragile. This looks really quite good. So again, potted way to one side or got shifted at some point, and I don't think that happened in shipping. So that's something, you guys work on that a little bit. So that's, and this is the Color Blaze Wicked Witch. So really beautiful coleus. And then let's try this. Okay, so this is another totally tempted frosted violet. So I want to, just see how these were going to do. So this one here, I don't think this has been pinched yet. And it is got some natural branching. And one thing I will say, the stems are really strong on this one. Sometimes with this type of Kufia, if it's not, grown in its favorite conditions, the stems can be a little wimpy. But I am going to definitely give this one a little trim so that it will branch out more. Also, as these long stems can get a little weak as they get taller. So this one is a good one to trim now and then get more robust growth later. At least that's what I found. Okay, and then this evolvulus, yeah, these evolvulus are not really in the state that I want them in. I'm not happy with these, so they will be getting an email from me, because I mean, that first one I was willing to be okay with, because look at the difference between these two. And this one I think is pretty small, especially compared to my other one. But I'd be okay with this one. I'm not okay with this. So unfortunately, I don't have a perfect record right now with all this. So I need to sit back and assess this. I'm also going to send an email off to them and let them know kind of what was going on here. And we'll see what their response is. So last night after I finished recording, I started writing my email to Set Apart Farms, and it just kept sticking with me. Like, how could they possibly have taken so much time and care wrapping up that pot that had no plant in it? It just made no sense to me. So I came back here and I started digging through all the wrapping and all that kind of stuff, thinking, well, maybe it fell out. Maybe it's in here somewhere. No sign of it. But then I went to the pot and I started digging around, and about an inch below the soil was the plant, completely covered in soil. And this is the plant. It actually has made it. The plant is okay. It's just, I would have never expected it to sink that far. But I think there's two factors that are contributing to that. So one is the potting medium that they're using is quite chunky and barky. So that becomes a little bit of a problem for shipping, because if the plant isn't well rooted, it's loose. It doesn't really hold together very well. And so in this particular case, we definitely had a problem. And, hey, with UPS or FedEx, that box could have easily spent the whole night upside down and then got turned back over this morning, and the soil kind of resettled and totally replanted the plant under the soil. So bit of a problem. So that did make writing my email a little easier, because at least I didn't have to write an email saying, where's my plant? So here's what I wrote. And I wanted my email to be, I guess, positive and productive. So this is what I wrote. Hi there, my order arrived today. Thank you for the careful packing and efficient shipping. I did want to share a few concerns about some of the plants. The 4 evolvulists all arrived looking quite different from one another. One in particular was completely buried in soil when I opened the box. There was no visible sign of the plant until I dug nearly an inch down. While some soil disturbance can happen in shipping, this seems more like an issue of underdeveloped roots causing the plant to sink significantly, possibly during transit. I believe all 4 will pull through, but they will likely take some time to get to a decent size. Also, the euphorbia's main stem is quite thin and seems to be struggling to support the plant. Would you recommend trimming it back to encourage stronger growth? I've attached a photo for reference. I'm sharing this in case it's helpful feedback and to better understand if there's anything I should do differently to support the plants while they recover. And my email may have been a little bit more generous than what some people would have written. Some people probably would have come out guns blazing demanding a refund. I, in good conscience, can't ask for a refund for a plant that I know is going to live, it's going to do fine, even if it didn't necessarily meet my expectations. I just, we live in a world where Amazon has gotten people to expect that shipping's always free and there's no questions asked returns on everything, no matter what. And, Amazon's a different beast. They have a really wide audience. They have, so much more going on. Whereas a small business, they're fighting for every customer and to get every single new customer. And so they don't have the resources. And I also know with plants, the time has gone into this. Even if this plant isn't maybe at the level that I wanted it to be, there was a lot of time, planting this and caring for it, packaging it up, shipping it. So I want to give some credit to that and I want to acknowledge that. So yes, if this plant dies or if it doesn't do well, I am going to ask for a refund. But at this point, I feel like, okay, I just have to be a little bit patient. The response from Sebastian at Set Apart Farms came fast, 12 minutes, and I got a response. And here's what Sebastian wrote. Thanks so much for the email and hope you're doing well. We do love taking our time packaging them up. So I'm glad you appreciated the packaging and care and time put into them. The one blew my mind that was dug underneath does look like it might not pull through. I'd suggest to plant all 4, and if within 2 weeks you do not see growth or anything, then we'll happily issue a refund. I'm mainly concerned about the one that dug under. The others will pull through no problem, but if they don't, we'll happily help in any way possible. The diamond snow euphorbias can get top heavy sometimes until they're planted. I'd suggest to plant it, and when you do, add soil to support it and the stem will thicken and grow accordingly. Sometimes the top growth of the plant covers its stems and the sunlight doesn't make it to the stem, which is why it won't fully thicken. The evolvulists are about 9 weeks old, but they need extremely hot weather to fully kick into gear. Keep us updated and we'll be happy to help. Hope the others arrive in beautiful condition and sorry that happened to you. So remember when I said we stopped carrying the evolvulus because it was such a slow starter and it didn't start looking good until about 90% of our annuals were sold? They're having that same problem and they're finding that, hey, this plant does take a long time to get started. It does like the heat. But then that does bring us to kind of ask, but why is the one from Garden Crossing, why is it in better shape? Why does it have more branching? Why are the roots more developed? And I think that probably is specifically geography and climate, because down in South Carolina where they're growing these, I'm guessing, in unheated hoop houses or outdoors because a lot warmer there. Meanwhile, this one was grown in Michigan in a greenhouse where they can control the temperature and control the conditions a lot more. Down in South Carolina, their nights are probably still a little bit cooler, so this plant isn't going to grow nearly as fast as what they can do down in a place where they're able to have it in a greenhouse. So maybe down the road, Set Apart Farms is going to be able to build a nice greenhouse structure where they can control the temperature a little bit more, and that'll mean that these plants are going to be able to do a little bit better. So that's kind of where this is at right now. So I'm not unhappy with their response. I think they were gracious. I think if I demanded a refund, they would give it to me. As for the euphorbia, I'll give that a try. I'll plant it a little bit deep. There's some plants you can't do that with. If you plant them deep, they'll rot. We've never had that problem with our euphorbia. And when he mentions the sun not getting the stem, that also might be a case too, that they are being grown pretty close together. So that heavy top growth is definitely shading below. And when you have a lot of plants close together, it's even less likely that they'll get some light. So we'll keep an eye on it. So, it's okay. But again, there is quite a difference. Oop, I grabbed the wrong one. Between this one and these here though. So, you're seeing, what they look like. This one here, this one does wobble too. So we're having a little bit of that issue, but nothing like this one. So, and when I mentioned that it seemed like, things weren't planted in the center, now I realize that probably was completely a shipping issue. I'm guessing that the box was turned upside down. It pulled everything kind of up, and then when it fell back down, they just weren't in place. And with this kind of soil, I think that's going to be a problem that they're going to have occasionally. So that's that. Okay, so now are we ready to assess this whole little experiment that I did? Now remember, this is all based on one order from these companies. I mean, they ship lots of different things, and it's not very scientific because, if I was really comparing, these different places, I would have ordered the exact same plants. So it's not really fair to, compare. I didn't buy an evolvulus from Romance Gardens. I don't know what condition that would have come in, but I still think that this gives us a pretty good idea of how these companies operate. So let me jump in. So I've created a little scorecard. So I have the 4 companies, and then I have 5 different criteria that we're going to measure them on. So the first one I'm going to start with is price, because when people are shopping online, I think price is one of the first things they look at. That's what they filter their searches by. And unfortunately, price is a bit of a moving target with these online plant retailers because, number one, they're constantly having different promotions and discounts, and sometimes it's free shipping, sometimes it's discounted shipping. So all of those things really does affect the price per plant. So going just by what the list price is isn't necessarily the best way to do that. You need to look at the whole cost that you're going to have. So if we were to just look at list price, and this is their list price right now, again, those prices are kind of constantly changing. Sometimes they're running store-wide discounts and stuff. So this is where they're at right now. When I purchased, the prices were for most of these companies a little bit higher because I ordered back like at the end of December. And so I got the early ordering, which meant the selection was much greater, but the prices were just that little bit higher. So my prices that I paid were maybe a little higher than some of these. So by list price, you can see Proven Winners Direct and Set Apart Farms, notably less expensive. So if we're looking just at list price, but we can't do that. And I can't necessarily go based on my order because like from one company, I just bought 4 plants, and other one I bought 13 plants from them and 20 from another. And the shipping to have them ship 4 plants is almost the same as what I paid for the 13 plants. So it wouldn't be fair to do the list price based on my order. So what I did is I went in and kind of created some fake orders to see what they'd come to. So I did it if you only bought 4 plants, and I did it if you bought 20 plants, and figured out what that price would be. So if I'm buying 4 plants, the pricing can range quite a bit, from $13.32 from Romance Gardens all the way up to $15.80 at Garden Crossings. So if we're looking at it just from that standpoint, I mean, Romance Gardens comes in quite a bit cheaper. Meanwhile, Set Apart Farm and Proven Winners Direct, they have a pretty reasonable price. So with 4 plants, it's clear which company is going to be a little bit cheaper. But when we get up to the 20 plants, it's a little different story. So again, Garden Crossings is coming out to be a little bit more pricey than some of the other companies. But then like Proven Winners Direct and Set Apart Farms end up being a little bit cheaper than Romance Gardens when you're getting to that, larger sized order, at least with 20 plants. That can vary a lot. Again, timing is everything. So don't use these numbers as kind of the hard and true pricing, because depending on when you order and what discounts you're able to apply, and usually you can only apply 1 discount per order, it's going to vary a lot. So any of these companies could be cheaper at different times. But if I'm going to give them a score, I'm looking at kind of the average of kind of my little fake orders, my real order, and what I've been looking at from their websites over the last several weeks. And I think like the winner in the end is going to be Romance Gardens. I'm going to give them the 5 out of 5 stars here. But Proven Winners Direct and Set Apart Farms definitely get 4 points for that. Garden Crossings is consistently more expensive, so they're going to get the 3 points out of it. But ultimately, we can see what that price range is for these. Now, the next thing I want to look at is packaging. And overall, the packaging on all of these orders was very, very good. I don't see any issue with the packaging. For the most part, there's not going to be problems. I think the problem that I had with this plant wasn't with the packaging. It was more with the soil and with the maturity of the plant. So I'm not going to blame the packaging for that. So they don't get dinged for that. So all 4 companies end up getting the 5 points for that. But one thing was different with one of the companies, 2 of the companies actually, both Garden Crossings and the Proven Winners Directs, which I believe were shipped by Garden Crossings. They came in these Grande or Eco Grande pots, which are biodegradable and compostable, and all of their packing materials were paper or wood products, so cardboard and brown paper. So there is a little bit of a benefit to that in the sense that they are a little bit eco-friendly, but I don't think that's an industry standard at this point. Biodegradable and compostable pots are not easy to come by. They're not cheap as well. So I don't expect a lot of these places to be able to accommodate that at this point. I think more options are coming on the market. So I'm not going to give them a full point extra. I'm going to give them a half a point for that. So they're going to get 5.5 points on that, whereas everybody else gets the full 5 points. So gives them just a little bit of an edge. So at this point when we're looking, it looks like Roman's Gardens has a little edge over Proven Winners Direct. And then we've got Set Apart Farm in third spot, and then the fourth spot is Garden Crossings. Now I'm going to look at service, and service has been good with all these. All these companies have sent me individual messages regarding my order, so I didn't just get the standard messages, and response times were good with all of them. So everybody's going to get 4 points, but I have to give an extra point to Romance Gardens for holding that begonia for me. I mean, that is completely unexpected. That is above and beyond. I am so impressed by that. Now, it's just luck that I happened to order begonia and that they noticed it and that they decided not to send it. And I should know, these companies, as far as I know, they don't know who I am. They don't know I'm on YouTube at all. I had my personal email address. I had it sent just to the address here. Now, someone might look and say, oh, Corey and Posen, I wonder if it's that YouTube guy, but I doubt it. Even people in Michigan don't know where Posen is. They don't recognize it as a place. So, we're a really small town. So it's unlikely that any of these places knew anything about me or about where this order was going. So after that addition, standings have stayed the same: Romance Gardens, then Proven Winners Directs, and Set Apart Farms, and then Garden Crossings. So the next criteria is selection. So the two sites with probably the best selection is definitely Garden Crossing and Romance Gardens. They have just a really wide array. With Garden Crossings having all those proven selections, it really expands what they can offer. And then Romance Gardens also has a lot of non-proven winners and non-proven selections options as well. So really wide range from both of those. Proven Winners Direct is kind of hit and miss. Like sometimes I go on there and they're sold out of a lot of things. Other times I go on there and they have a lot to choose from. So I think it really depends on the week and the timing. It just seems kind of inconsistent as far as what you're going to find on there. I mean, they do have always their regular standards on there, but other plants a little bit less. So as far as selection, I can't give them the full 5 points. Set Apart Farms does have the smallest amount of choices, but they do have kind of a Proven Winners Greatest Hits kind of list. So they do tend to have the best-selling annuals on there. So if there is like a well-known Proven Winners annual that you're looking for, and they do also, all these do sell some perennials and other plants as well, they probably will have those best sellers. So when we get back through here, Romance Gardens has still got an advantage, but now we've got Garden Crossings and Proven Winners Direct in a tie with Set Apart Farm, the little guy kind of bringing up the rear there, but they're still holding their own against some of these bigger growers. At least as far as I know, they're smaller than the others. So our final criteria is quality of the plants. And I have to say one does stand out above the others, and that is Garden Crossings. All of their plants are well rooted. They've been well taken care of. They are in really great shape. Now, there is room for improvement, not much, but like in a perfect world, I wouldn't be able to see the trim marks. These plants would be just that little bit, grown above that, but I don't actually have that expectation. So yes, there's that room for a little bit of improvement, but I'm still giving them the 5 stars out of that because they exceeded my expectations. Then, I mean, Proven Winners Direct, at least for my order, looks like it came from the same place. So, I mean, based on my order, I have to give them the 5 points. I don't know, though, how Proven Winners fulfillment is. I don't know if they use different growers to supply different parts of the country. Like, is it a regional thing? Is it just a timing thing? When you order at this time of year, you get it from here or there. So that's an uncertainty, and I didn't send them any kind of email to ask them any of that kind of stuff. So they're going to get the 5 points, but I got to put a little asterisk by it because it is possible that if they use a different grower, the quality is going to be different. Now, Romance Gardens, I was very happy with the quality. Like, this completely meets my expectations. There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of these plants that I got. They are smaller or younger, I'd say, or less developed than the ones that I got from Garden Crossing. So that is just a factor, but I don't have any issue with how they came in. So I'm giving them just the even 3, I think they did a good job. And then Set Apart Farms. So I have to remind myself that really it was one plant that I'm really concerned about, and it really has to do with that soil, I think, that really is causing a problem. So that is something that I would maybe suggest that they look into, or maybe they say, okay, we can't sell this product for another 2 or 3 weeks. We have to just keep it out, out of our pre-orders for that beginning until it's more developed, or until they can grow it a little bit warmer. So I have to give them a below average just because of that. And also that Euphorbia, I have the other one to compare it to, and you can see what a really good one looks like and what a below average one. I'm going to say it was below average. So the other plants though from them did come in looking pretty good. So I can't ding them more than I think I already have. So I think, they've paid the price for that. And in the end, when we add them all up, it is Romance Gardens that came out ahead, but only by a half a point. Meanwhile, Garden Crossings and Proven Winners Direct definitely are right behind them. Basically a point. They got that extra point for having the Echo Grande pots. And then Set Apart Farms, they are a little bit behind, but I'm going to give them a little bit of leeway. They are smaller. They are growing outdoors versus in a controlled environment. So let's put it this way. When it comes to what kind of plants I'd buy from them. So I probably wouldn't buy those hot plants like the Evolvulus, a Lantana, Angelonia, the Ladybird Sunglow. I might not buy those. Maybe later on in the season wouldn't be a problem, but right now I probably wouldn't do that. Meanwhile, the plants that can handle cold weather, like petunias, calibrachoas, salvia, some of the lobelia, all those plants, I think, they look pretty darn good. When I look over here, this petunia looks good. The only thing I will say is I do wish that they maybe did a little bit more trimming. So, I am going to have to trim a couple of these plants, especially this Kufia. This really does need a pinch. So I'm going to cut it off probably right about here, just because I do want that branching. Fortunately, the stem is strong, but I do know this plant well enough that early in the season, especially because the light levels are a little bit lower, this will get a little spindly. Later on in the season, like that second batch of branches that come up when the sun is a little bit brighter, the branches tend to be stronger. But this still looks good. Like when I see it like this, but I know this plant well enough, or at least I know plants like this enough, that it could get risky as it gets a little taller. So, okay, folks, I hope you found this helpful. This ended up being a lot longer video than I expected, but I hope you guys like the unboxing, and I hope you like the way I assess these. Let me know if you've ordered from any of these companies before and what your experience is. Remember, this is one person's experience, one order in particular. I know some people have had bad experiences with companies, some have had really good experiences. I know a lot of people have ordered from QVC. I think what you get from QVC is very, very different. I noticed they tend to ship smaller plants, more of the plug size, and that is a totally different type of experience. So I think for some people who maybe ordered from QVC before, they see something like this and they go, oh, mine was not that big. Now, sometimes QVC does send out plants that are this size as well. It kind of depends. So you need to really pay attention if you're ordering from an online retailer like QVC as to what size you're getting. So, thank you guys for watching. This has been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster for me. I'm going to give these a little bit of trim. I'm going to get some of these planted up, and I'll keep you posted on how things go.